All right, welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me. Um, I am starting this live stream without even knowing what I'm going to be doing or talking about. It's more of an attempt to create a sense of room, let's say, a place that you can join, a place where I am available as I do things, as I talk. And so let's see whether some people join. I am still trying to figure out this technology. So for example, right now, for the first time, I'm actually hosting the whole thing via my phone. This should allow me to check how things, to basically to use my laptop screen more freely, because it shouldn't show the whole setup. What now? There is a problem with this, with having it on the phone, which is that it doesn't show me. I guess because it's all kind of compressed, the UI doesn't show me how many viewers there are, but it's okay. Now, I think I will anyway need to share my screen at a certain point, so I'm going to try to do that and join the stream from my laptop. So, okay. Let's see whether I can. Their screen. Is it already showing up? All right. That's unexpected. Obviously now it's gone. By the way, if you write a comment, I'm going to see it, and you can join the conversation by clicking on the link in the description. So let me give this another try. Okay, I should be showing my screen. And why not show you this picture? So take a look at this nice picture. It's a nice piece of art. The patio, so-called. I don't know how that's pronounced in English. That's an interesting idea or an interesting kind of place, right? Where it's kind of the life of the neighborhood. And what you see is like what's interesting is that it's a place where a number of conversations can happen spontaneously and kind of flow one into the other. And we don't have this in the virtual form. So that would be something useful. Oh, someone joined. Let me see how. Hey there, do you want me to add you to the stream? Is that fine? Just a second. I have a problem here. Hello.
How's it going, man? We just
Hi
became
there.
friends today.
Just a second. I have a bit of a problem because I'm using my phone and so I don't see you. Basically, you're kind of cut. It's all cramped together. I thought it would be a good idea to use my phone, but it's actually not. So I'm going to have to, you know what? I'm going to use my own live stream so I can see you because I don't see you at all. How's life anyway? Thank you for joining. I think you're the first one.
Life is good. It's strange. It's good. I moved out of Milwaukee, which is a major city in Wisconsin, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm in a less populated area, which feels nice.
And are you staying home, or what's the situation there?
Situation is pretty calm. Just going out to get groceries and things like that. The neighborhood is pretty calm, pretty quiet. Just a few people on walks. Yeah, it's there's no chaos or anything, but at least for now, right?
Yeah, and so you
I saw you.
Did you find me on Facebook right now?
Yeah, I saw your post on Game B, and you spoke about a digital patio.
Yeah.
And that was very. It's exactly what I feel like is every time I get frustrated in the digital space, it's because we're missing that exact thing. And so I was very excited about it. So when we started live streaming, I hopped on and figured out what else you have to say.
Cool.
Have you done any more thinking about that idea at all?
I mean, I've been obsessing about it today, but it's kind of like an intuition that has been growing over the weeks since since this social distancing here in Switzerland. I started having a lot of WhatsApp calls, and I realized that the call itself is a powerful feature, which I've been I've been participating in a lot of video calls in the Game B space now almost for a year, and I'm really happy that that's the case, that there are people who are willing to jump beyond text, and then have a real discussion, right? And I'm seeing, okay, now this, thanks to the situation, I'm having more of these also with my family. But then I started realizing that what's missing is kind of the surrounding, how to start a conversation, how to end it, how to, all of this should be way more seamless. And right now, even on WhatsApp, I would prefer to see who's available among my family members and so on, or who is having a conversation among my family members, and then just join, or even merge different conversations, and or hop from one to the other. And right now it's just like you call. It's nice that you can add more people, but it feels like early days in that sense. And Zoom is similar. It's like it has this interesting feature that each Zoom room has a URL. So a few friends of mine last summer or fall tried to create like a constantly open room, so-called. Like you can find it in the URL gamebee.coffee, right? Like it's a coffee house, basically. That was the idea. And at the beginning, many people were, hanging out in there. But then after a while, more often than not, you would jump in and there's no one in. And so, given that there is no scarcity of Zoom rooms, right? After a while, people just started using their own, and that's it. And so that's why I meant, okay, there is this kind of technology that is at one step more meta than just the call itself, right? There needs to be a place where the interface, I imagine, is like basically maybe on one side you see who's online and who's not online, and then you see ongoing conversations, right? And you see who's in the room and in the conversation, and then you can join. But as you join, you still you don't lose the context, right? You see other conversations that are going on, and you can say, okay, I'm gonna move over to the other. And I could even imagine, like if you are in listening mode, you can even listen to a few at the same time, like just like to have a sense of what's going on, and then you say, okay, now I really want to join this one.
You have the capacity to see multiple conversations at the same time, other than you can hear multiple conversations at the same time. So you might want to just have, muted pictures of conversations happening here, muted pictures of conversations happening here, and then maybe you're listening to one or maybe two conversations. I mean, I'm thinking, I think the whole VR thing is kind of spooky, but I mean, look at how much we're turning our heads in this conversation right now. Very, very little, right? I'm not going like this. I'm not going like that. But imagine if I did, and I turned over and there was a new conversation over here, and then the audio would switch to this conversation, and then they would sort of.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you could move them around. I mean, that's way advanced. I'm not a coder. I don't know, but like if I'm thinking about the user experience that I want, that would be cool.
Oh, that's interesting. By the way, we've had a comment on YouTube. Living Being says, I actually can click on it to make it appear. It should appear on the video now. It says Discord. That's funny because now I don't see it. Discord app has the best interface like you are describing. So I thought that on Discord you only can create audio conversations, but if you can actually start video conversations, then I'm going to give that a second look. So if you can clarify that, Living Being, that's the name of the user. So I mean, maybe like I would rather just know that there is an existing technology and use that but so I think whatever the technology is, one of the important thing would be notifications, right? Like you would, the problem is that whatever it is, the room, the space, you don't want to hang in there all the time. You just want to be notified, okay, someone important that I care about joined or started a conversation. They say, okay, I'm gonna jump in and follow and listen and so on. And then obviously integrations with all sorts of services would be good, right? Like you can record it streaming to YouTube or whatever, right? That's another thing. I mean, right now, the software that I'm using right now is a step in that direction. It's called StreamYard. And it's already cool because it's like a Zoom conversation, right? Like for you, it's basically that, right? It's just a video conference, but at the same time, I'm live streaming to YouTube and live streaming to Facebook, and I have the control over, whether who do I show? Do I show you? Do I show both of us? Do I show my desktop screen? and so on. So that's already quite powerful, especially given that the fact that it's in the browser. I don't have any app installed or anything. So I'm happy about that. But then the next step would be, you know, again, like to have this meta level where you see all the available conversations that are there.
Right.
And if you don't know, I've been using these basically every evening where I spend some time kind of doing things related to Game B, and I'm just live, right? And sometimes I just code or research, and or sometimes I talk to people. Mainly until now it has been comments. So you're the first who really jumps in to have a serious discussion. So I appreciate that, because it takes courage, right? Because I mean, this is being live streamed and so on. So for the new comment, Living Being says,
right?
so you can do one-on-one video, not group video. Okay, yeah, and Discord.
Okay.
He answered the question.
I've never used, actually I used Discord once. It was very, very short-lived for a group I was involved in.
I mean, they have a feature that is in that direction, which is but it's basically audio channels. You see, you know, whether there is someone in the channel, and that's, I think, a step in that direction. Obviously, then a video would then be the full solution. My opinion is not that far from what I imagine. But yeah, virtual reality.
You have capacity to make this happen. Because we can talk about what would be cool all we want, but at some point it's kind of like talking about flying cars unless you actually know how to do the mechanics of it.
I don't have the capacity, in the sense that I don't have the time. I mean, I'm a web engineer, so theoretically having infinite time, but this is technologically heavy. You know, the live streaming, etc. You would, and it would not be one of those things that you can do for free, put them out there, because the bandwidth of these applications is high, right? So you need it's a serious kind of thing to start. And I mean, I only have a couple of hours in the evenings from time to time. I used to have a bit more time, but now, you know, given that me and my wife and my child are all at home, we kind of have to shuffle work and so on. And additionally, me as a personality, I don't know if you're aware of the Big Five.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm extremely high in openness. So I keep following shiny ideas, and I'm extremely low in conscientiousness. So I'm not good at following.
Same here.
So that's a pity. And yeah. But you know, like, I think this is also something I've been thinking about recently. It's like, the only way to preserve dignity is just to stop making promises. And you know, like, it's a strength. It's its own. It has a niche, right? And probably the niche is to express all the ideas, and to get better at, I guess, doing things in short sprints. You know, like, okay, you have something and you get something done in a like, for as long as you have the interest, and then it's done. But you know, like,
totally
not to start long-term projects, because that's you know, it just doesn't work. Okay, wait just a second. There is someone asking. It's Max asking, what is the topic being discussed during this stream? So I want to explain the general frame. I want to provide a place to hang out in a way, right? Like, or I've been doing these live streams. I was explaining before to Michael. Whenever I have time and I'm here and I'm doing something Game B related, and so it's completely open in a way. I mean, not completely open, because one of the first times I did it, a couple of drunk gamers jumped in and wanted to talk about gaming. I guess that's out of scope, but in general, it's either, you know, I've had a session where I was just coding, and so I was just talking, and sometimes someone would jump in and leave a comment, and I would just answer and talk a bit about what I was thinking, and meanwhile I was coding. Today, Michael jumped in pretty early, and so now we're having a conversation about video technologies. But
if someone were to jump in, follow that link that you put on Facebook, which is the thing
yes.
I followed, then their screen would appear on here, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of activate them, right? They wouldn't immediately appear, but I could just say, okay, now you can join. Hey, Bentley, another comment. We might be able to do the meta meeting app and use existing video tech. Zoom has a pretty good API. That's very good. Thank you. Why don't you join? Let's have a discussion, because Bentley is one of the people who actually commented on the thing that the virtual, the digital, how do you say the patio? I mean, I say it in the the Italian way. And so it would be cool to have a discussion if you want to jump in even 5 minutes, Bentley, because I mean, with you, I've had the most like in-depth technical
conversation. Interchange or interaction.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be cool. And I mean, what I'm doing here is like a step in that direction, you know, like, but the best would be if I don't have to hold the space, right? Now it's like me hosting it, right? Which is okay. But then there would, a better would be like something even more meta, which is like where you would see hosts sharing, like any kind of host having starting a conversation. But I like that Bentley is interested in jumping into action. It's just I wonder whether Bentley, you are also high in openness, because I think you already have a project. And I mean, I'm completely that kind of person who has a hard time staying focused. And probably, I mean, that's what Jordan Hall was saying the other day, which it's kind of a common thing about these people interested in the idea space, right? That we are interested in ideas, and then, but then to, you know, put it into action and then really do it, that's not our strength. And his advice was to actually kind of create ties with people who are more, like, you know, high conscientiousness, people who do the thing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, opponent processes as usual, right? Like create the synergy, right?
Another thing he was saying too is that he was talking about Chronos and Kairos, and in times of Chronos, you're taking sort of preparatory action. You're laying the foundation, you're building skills, you're doing a lot of work that doesn't necessarily seem like it's making a huge impact on the world. And then in times of Kairos, when the rate of change is significantly higher, then the change that you wanted to see in Chronos time becomes a lot more possible, provided you put in the work during Chronos time. And so I like that, because it was a good model for what I've been doing. Me and a few other guys, I mean, many other people have set up a network of groups called Coronavirus HQ, and there are different different groups in different localities.
Ooh, someone joined. But please finish.
Yeah, sure. So each state in the U.S. has a group, and then they're all tied to a page. And
hey there, just a second. I'm going to. Hi
Well,
there, Bentley. Welcome. It's the first time we talk.
Yeah. Don't let me interrupt though. But
yeah, okay. Let Michael finish his. It was interesting. Like, I mean, like I've been also trying to scrambling to find like the best way for me to participate. So it's cool to listen to someone who has actually been doing something.
Right. The groups have been. It's like there's sort of a Pareto distribution in the participation and in the membership. There's a few states that have a lot of members, and there's a lot of states that have very few members. But the reason I brought it up is because we're talking about being high in openness, starting things, and then not seeing them come to fruition. And I'm wondering if maybe that part where we don't see them come to fruition is really just a period in which a different kind of growth is happening. So instead of growing in breadth, it's growing in depth. Then if you can just sort of tip yourself toward a little bit more focus or persistence on this project, then I think it'll continue to grow in ways that might not be evident at first. I'm not a trained speaker or anything, so I'm trying to put the ideas into word.
That's interesting. Bentley, how would you describe your personality?
Yeah, I don't think I've taken that specific test, but I'm definitely closer on the start things rather than finish, and more the ADD. So even when I'm working on a project, I tend to have 2 or 3 that I switch between. I would have been on earlier, but I was finishing up a shower and I actually forgot my glasses, so I might look a little different than usual. But yeah, I mean, I worked in corporate America for 20 years, so I had to learn to finish things. But my preference is I'm a hard starter and kind of in the middle when things are growing. But when it gets kind of standard and stuff, I easily get bored. But yeah, the other comment I was thinking on this project, and it kind of applies to a lot of the projects, that if any of the ideas seem really like stuff people would like to participate, and I don't know if we really want someone volunteering a whole bunch of time on a project, but if we wanted to set up a Patreon or something and just to collect a small amount of money, like not a lot, but just to cover the like cost of Zoom if we were going to use that as the back end, and then some time for someone like me. I quit my job a couple months ago, so I have, and I'm working on my own project, but I could take some time off if I'm using that. I have some money for contracting time, or some time set aside for contracting, and so I'd much rather contract on this than for some startup or something, but I don't know if there's there to be enough people interested in that. There'd have to be like a minimum number of people willing to use it and donate a certain amount of money, but it's an option.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, this brings up this other question of money, right? How do we, in game B space, finance things, pay for things? And I still don't see a clear solution, in the sense that, for example, me, when it comes to money, my life is pretty optimized, in the sense that I'm working 60% so that I can spend more time doing things that are meaningful to me, which in this case involves taking care of my son and a bit of time every evening for this, right? But that means I don't have much resources that I can just spend. So then the question would be, okay, how do we look for fundings, and is that the best way we can spend our time? That would be the next question. For me, this is a difficult topic in general because it has baggage psychologically. So for me, like let's say 1 year ago when I encountered Game B, I had been using this YouTube channel, to market my coaching skills and other things, and without success. And for me, it was a liberation to say, no, I'm actually going just to postpone, to say I relinquish branding, marketing, looking for funding, and just focus on doing what's meaningful first. And for me personally, this has been a liberation. Obviously, it would be great if some wealthy benefactor would, unlock my whole potential, right? But I don't count on it. And there are other people that I would want to have that first. So anyway, sorry, this was sparked by your mention. So I don't see an easy solution to the problem of crowdfunding, the idea.
So, I mean, if you could find 10 people willing to put $5 or $10 a month into it, like if they're going to actually use it, then you open up a Patreon, and that covers all the server and the tech costs. And then if they want new features, then you just kind of say, hey, I'd like this. And then, if we have a couple of devs, or there's also, there's a couple sites where you can do open source, and you can just put something out there, and then people just donate a little bit more money based on wanting a new feature. Is one thing I've been thinking of. I haven't actually done that yet. And not Patreon or something else.
Would the development be done for free, or?
No, I would say that if someone wants a new feature, then we'd have some way of raising it up, and people kind of like saying that. I mean, that might be one of the features you have to build. Or just if we do use Patreon, then you say, when the buffer gets up to, here's our priority of features. When it gets up to this amount, then I will take some contracting time and do it, or another dev, or if someone who lives in an even less expensive area of the world wants to do it, and then I would still think you would still pay the developer time. It would just be on a feature by feature basis, and maybe a little bit of money to maintain the security of the system, and then pay for the hosting costs.
How long do you think it would take?
Well, it depends on what we wanted. I mean, just a thing to where people can log in and it puts a little dot by their face to say that they're online. And then who's in a video, and if you had to manage who's in a video on your own and used your own Zoom links for like 40-minute videos, then I could throw something together like that in a weekend. So it depends on a feature by feature basis.
Okay, so that would be a minimum. Okay, just a second, because someone asked the question. So Max asked, could you explain what the project's aim is, right? So maybe we can take a step back, and we were talking a bit about it. If I had to describe, like, maybe you didn't hear the name of the idea, so the name would be to create a digital patio. And the idea is it's a metaphor for the kind of environment that we want to create, which is a place where you see conversations that are going on, and you can join them or leave them, but you never lose the context of, okay, there is a conversation here, there is a conversation there, maybe about this or that topic. And then obviously another aspect would be, yes, I'm interested in subscribing to the patio, in the sense, like, even if I'm not there, I would like to be notified if someone I'm interested joins or starts a conversation, and so on. So this would be kind of the general idea, and I think it would be interesting, whether we then move to do it or not, to have a bit of a definition of a minimum viable thing, right? And so I really liked your description there. Let me try to see if I can recap it. So you basically, the minimum thing is you would be able to log in and see who's online or not, and then if someone joins a call, you would kind of see that the call is there and who's in the call. Or is that it?
Yeah, I imagine the simplest thing would be that you can then I thought through everything, because I don't know if I want it to where you could actually like pick people, but it could just tell you how many people are online, and then once there's, for me, I'd rather it just be 3 or 4 people rather than 2, because it's a little awkward with 2 people sometimes. And then really even okay, my feature set's a little different from yours, so I would just have it to where you kind of log in, and if there's 2 other people available, then it would pop up a message saying, hey, there's 2 other people available, would you like to join? And have a little sound or something if you allow that. And then you click that, and it would probably put you for now it'd be a kind of like a joint chat room, and then there you'd be expected to share a Zoom link. Someone would sign up for Zoom or for meetups or something, and then you'd go into that meetup, and then everyone else could say, well, this person left. To keep the development as simple as possible, you'd have to manage who's in the meeting kind of manually by the people that are in it. And then we could do the other features to where it would show, here are the meetings that are going on, which you had. So there's 3 meetings going on. One is 2 people, one is 3. Here are the names of the people, or their username, their whatever they chose to put as their name.
What does that look like
So
on the screen?
I mean, it would just probably be a list down on the other side that says, here's a meeting, number of people in it, and the names, or just the names. Actually, don't need the number because it's not gonna. It's usually you wouldn't want like more than 4 or 5 people, and then maybe say whether the group is open or closed. Just because I think if you get a lot of people in it, I mean that's my feature set, I guess. But if you don't care about that, then yeah, it would just be here are the groups. Maybe you could have them put a label on what they happen to be talking about at the moment.
yeah, no, I would want to know how many people are in it. In particular, I actually would like to know who is in there. But I guess
and that
as a
could be
first,
done easily. Yeah.
So if I understand your basic feature set correctly, there wouldn't be like a necessarily any API call or any, the interface between the app and the actual video streaming service at this point would be humans, right? Setting up the call.
I would suggest that for an initial one. Now, if you said, I have 100 people that want to do this and they're willing to pay $10 a month, then, we could spend a week doing an API to Zoom and everyone would contribute like $3 or $5 to a joint Zoom account. I have a friend who developed a conferencing software using Zoom as the backend, and he charges $3 per person for that. And actually, we could see if he has any features in that kind of fits your need. I think his is more like conference, like online conference software. So it may not have this exact feature set that you're looking for. But so if you have the money, then we did integrate it with one of the services, but we'd have to pay for video hosting at that point.
Yeah. Would you? Okay. Yeah. Well, if you get paid for it, it would be open source, right? I imagine that. Okay.
Yeah, and that way other people could pick up the mantle if I get busy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whoever the developers would be.
Just out of curiosity, what is your favorite stack to develop web applications?
Right now, I'm doing all JavaScript, so usually some sort of Node on the back end or some sort of Node. And then right now I'm using React in the front end. I don't mind trying Vue, and I've done Angular in the past.
Do you use Next.js or
Vue?
Next.js?
I've been hacking around not needing I've been using kind of the default data because most of my apps are so small that I don't need anything like that.
So Express or completely pure Node?
Right now I'm actually mostly using Firebase in the back end, so that's been able to do most everything I need. So the serverless kind of Node scripts is kind of what I'm thinking. But in the past, I did all C#, Microsoft Stack, and Azure. So.
All right. Sorry, Michael. I feel we excluded you. Get going into the technical stuff.
Sorry.
No, talk about the technical stuff. I feel like I'm mainly here as an observer, just because I'm interested. And you made that post. I'm like, that's exactly what I want for my groups. So I'm just here to observe and ask questions, and if I have an idea, throw it out. Probably won't be many.
So
it's
Michael,
interesting. Sorry.
I was going to say is that the need for your group is you would like to have it, because I've thought this would be useful for different communities. Is just does that feature set fit kind of what you're thinking about?
I have to visualize it. From what you're describing, I'm kind of, the picture that I'm getting is it's something like this, but there's maybe a sidebar that shows other conversations happening, and I see who's in them. Click over, and I can pop over to that other conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, and that's better than anything I've seen before. I would love, like you were saying, Nick, a place that I guess I could pop on, and it would just be me, and then someone could join me, and then someone could join us. Then someone could pop into that same space, but not be a part of our interaction. Their own thing. I started drawing a picture And I mean, I feel like I'm a caveman right now, and I'm talking to like,
Questions are good.
Don't worry.
21st century people. So bear with me, please. But okay, so like I drew
Okay.
this,
Hmm.
and like
Mhm.
this is like the construct in the matrix. Anything can be there, and there might be a conversation happening between these two people, and there might be a conversation happening between these three people, and these two people might be watching it or have their eye on it, but not necessarily their ear. And some something where it's not so cut and dry, where we're trapped in this conversation with one another, where we can kind of look over, just like if you're in a courtyard, you can look over and you see that
Mhm.
there's a conversation happening there. Maybe you hear a little bit of it. That's
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
human interaction goes. It's not so isolated like it usually is. I don't know if I'm answering
Uh,
your question, but I'm hoping maybe I'm throwing something into.
no, it helps. It is similar to kind of like the feeling that I would like to create. I don't know to what degree. Like, I mean, now I'm interested in looking at Zoom's API. What can it do and what can it not do? Like, for example, can one uh, can one stream individual users via the API? Because that would be cool, right? You have like kind of like imagine like a grid. Every row is a conversation that's going on, and each row has all participants. And even though you haven't joined, obviously this is future, right? This is not minimum viable, but um, even though you haven't joined the conversation, you just see the faces if they decided to share. Um, and you see the title of the conversation going on, right? And then you see like basically each row a conversation, and you say, okay, I'm gonna join with this one just with the microphone, or like just with the headset, and then with this one I'm going to join with a microphone so I can actually have a conversation. Or like I'm just in consumer mode, but I want to listen to many at the same time because I want to pick which one is most interesting. I listen to most. But yeah, like I think the interface I kind of envision would be really this kind of like grid thing. Um, and then obviously you could add start your own conversation, which would then become a row in the grid. But obviously that's, the vision. And so, oh, by the way, we have Max who is commenting from time to time. I'm going to highlight his comment here. He says, I like the courtyard analogy. You presented it well too. Thank you. Yeah, that's the idea, right? The digital patio or digital courtyard. um,
I
so
think it's
anyway,
great.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I
Like you
just
said,
want to
it
pop in
could
here.
be. Go ahead.
Because okay, so we got these groups, and people. I think people are at a loss for what they should do. Um, we've got several hundred people, and there's only a few people really contributing, and even then, the contributions aren't as aimed toward action taking and community building as we would like them to be. And this sort of a thing would be very helpful for that. I think video is a lot of
mhm,
a much more stronger link than text or memes or whatever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't
Sorry,
know
I
me
just
and
want
Ben,
to get that
but we have both
before I forget.
been. Sorry, I think we lost. It's
I'm
either
back.
my connection or yours. Okay, I hear you.
Cool.
So were you finishing something?
No, I just that was about it, and I know that I interrupted Bentley, so please go ahead and say
Oh, I
whatever
was
you're
just
going to say.
saying, I did kind of like the idea of, you have a grid of videos, and each one of those could be the existing group. So you see people kind of like, the lips moving and stuff and laughing or whatever, or crying, whatever's going on. Um, and then yeah, and you have the names next to them, and then you can choose to like click on it to listen, and then another button to join. Um, that would be pretty interesting. And then have it be kind of a closed group, because I think a lot of people, I mean, closed door open for a group of groups, because some people would feel comfortable with like the Game B community, but not be comfortable just flat out on the internet like we're doing now.
Yeah, there I'm actually wondering whether does it have to be group centric, or could it just be that each individual person kind of builds their own individualized patio, right? Or like I follow these 10 people, and if they decided to share their conversations with me, I will see those conversations, right? So your patio is not my patio, but kind of like they can overlap.
That would be interesting. I don't know how the audio would work if I would hear everyone that's joined to every patio that I'm a member of.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
It would be hard to pick out pieces of the conversation for sure. I think one or two conversations you can have at the same time, but once it gets to be 3 conversations, I need at least the volume up.
Right? Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that would self-regulate, no? I mean, most people would not. Or is there a technical difficulty in saying you can just stream as much audio from different Zoom calls as you want, like?
Yeah, because I don't know their limits. We may not even be able to do that grid of videos because they may not allow you to be taking video from more than one meeting at a time and not have individual cameras. So they may. I'm not familiar enough with the API to see whether they'd allow that. So maybe an intermediate step would be you can see. I don't even know if you could see all the rooms actually. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, now this is like my personality activating. I'm getting excited about this, and I'm a web developer too, right? So should I, jump into this? And meanwhile, I already had another idea of something that I could do that could be meaningful within the, the coronavirus kind of topic. And now I'm like, okay, fuck, now I like this more, and I don't know whether I should. This is really like typical myself, I get excited, and as I was telling Michael before, probably the best is just to not to make any promises about anything.
I have the same issue. I tend to over.
So 15 Master says, let me on the panel. You just have to click on the link in the description, and then I will add you. So someone is going to join us.
It's really easy to overcommit, and there's a lot of interesting things going on. The reason why I really like this because it is your conceptual is very similar to kind of what Jubilee's been talking about for a while. Of her, they're just kind of similar. This way that we could have this.
Actually, it's interesting because I mean she kind of like her idea stayed with me for a while. It's the framing that was difficult for me at the beginning because she was talking about scheduling app, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's not exactly about scheduling. I mean, obviously, the patio, it would be cool if you could then additionally see, okay, the upcoming conversations, right? That would be even better, right? You see the actual conversations, then you see in 30 minutes, a new conversation would start, like YouTube does with live streams. But for me, that's kind of secondary because it is possible to schedule conversations. But the hard thing is like, okay, now I have time. Who is around? Who is available, right? And this is what I would like to achieve. But so we are waiting for your 15 Master.
Yeah, I think in our chatting, with Jubilee and some of the other meetings, we were discussing whether it should only be real time, only be scheduling, or some combination. Which, of course, we were trying to limit the features, and we thought with the Game B, I don't remember what it was called, but the kind of cafe thing where it was an open Zoom room, the fact that you never really had more than a couple people in the room at a time, it seemed like you wouldn't have the need for this sort of thing to where you can have 30 people and 5 different conversations. But yeah, that was our thinking, and that's why the scheduling app kind of took precedence, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
And Game B only has 1,300 members on the Facebook account. So to expect an engagement in the double digits, more than one.
Someone joined. Let me add him to the stream.
Might be a little big of an
Hello.
Hello there. Hello there.
You look like
Well-
PewDiePie. Somebody ever say that to you?
What?
Sorry?
It's like PewDiePie.
PewDiePie. Yes, I
Oh
do
yeah,
like.
you do.
It's so funny.
That's
Oh
funny.
my God. Okay, I remember you. You're the gamer, right?
Yes.
Are you
Is he
aware
Jason
of
Rock
what we're
already?
talking about? Yeah.
I've just finished work. I'm having a couple of beers. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Yeah. Are you
How's your
aware
day
of what we
tonight?
were talking about?
Pardon?
Are you aware of what we were talking about?
No, I just got a link. I just come home from work then and just cracked a beer open. I just joined a chat before I make my dinner and jump into the shower. You know what I mean?
All right. Do you want to listen for a while before you continue?
It's so I can get the gist. I do apologise.
Okay, okay. Then
Thank you.
I guess we continue.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good example of what the system would be like.
Yeah.
You're out
Yeah.
on a patio. Someone could
Yep.
walk up and just listen in for a little while before they pipe up and say something. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously all sorts of forgotten human skills would have to be recovered.
And modified because the medium is different. So there's going to be things that are different. But I mean, how similar is this to we're having a conversation on the patio, and then one of our neighbors comes by. He just got off work. He's having a beer.
Yeah.
Pop
True.
around. What's up, guys? I mean, that's missing from the online conversation in a lot of ways. So just
Yeah.
what we're doing right now, I think, is a really, really cool step in the right direction.
Well, some people
Yeah.
actually get involved in a normal conversation, and some it needs like a new perspective of the point of the principle of what you're going on about. Sometimes.
Dude, your
Yeah.
accent is too thick for me.
It's okay. I'll speak properly. Can you understand me now?
Okay.
Is that a bit better? Right.
Okay.
I'll,
Go
try,
ahead.
I'll try and speak English. Okay.
I did have a friend of mine who was Scottish. I used to work with him, and I couldn't understand him until he was about 3 beers in, and then it got a little easier.
No, don't you mean until you got 3 beers in?
Either way, it
They
seemed to
don't
work
Scottish,
better.
do they?
Alcohol helped in the communication.
Aye.
So what?
It's
Okay.
interesting.
Someone like me who doesn't know how to code or anything like that.
We have sorry, we have someone more joining the stream. It's Doug West. Welcome, Doug.
Hello.
Oh, there. Oh no.
Right.
All right, that's the live stream.
What the fuck?
That's the
is
live.
that?
All right, wait, you know what?
That's wrong.
Oh my God. So I'm now
Ban
learning
him.
about the tool.
Ban him.
I'm learning about the tool, and to ban him, I would have to request everyone to have an account and log in, because now I can only kick him, unfortunately. But
You're not just ban him.
I'm happy to kick him.
Oh, that was wrong.
Yeah, you know, like that. That's what happens, right? When you
My
experiment.
eyes.
Yeah. So then this is fucking funny, man. Then you get people coming in like prank calling or whatever like that. And there could be raids. I mean, the whole thing is hilarious.
No, it's not. It's not when you try to sit there. I was listening to you then, trying because you run about coding and stuff, and I was curious. You know what I mean? I don't understand. I just started trying to do a live streaming and stuff. I'm curious about it. You know what I mean? And it's like I started going live streaming IRL, and then somebody just banned my Streamlabs and stuff. I don't have a Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? My YouTube channel's still up, but I don't have a clue. You know what I mean? I know how you do like coding and stuff like that. Well, is that what? Well, put it that way. Is that what you do? Is that coding and
I mean, we have 2 coders here and 2 non-coders. But yeah, what's So someone comments, it's not hilarious about, I guess about the prank that we just had. I don't know. I don't know how to react to it.
Yeah, well, let's not confuse the humor with the thinking that we think it's funny. That is a social. That's us socially signaling to each other that we're all okay after a traumatic experience.
That's good.
So we're not trying to encourage that. It's
correct.
That's what laughing is. It's showing that we're all okay and that we're not going to do that. But yes, it probably would be better to. I think banning, kicking someone out and banning it kind of sets the tone that that's an unacceptable social behavior. But maybe it's better to clearly state that, to Stacy's point. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree, and it's like these are the kinds of things that one needs to learn, and one would not expect it, right? Like you put yourself out there, and then things happen, and so I guess I don't know.
There's
like,
a lot of
what one should learn from this.
There's a lot of broken people out there, and they need help. So, but I don't know that we can solve that problem today as well.
Yeah, I mean that's so Stacy says I understand I had experience with this on a much larger level in a group called earlier. All right,
it's really unfortunate. Yeah, I was on an international democracy meeting and on Zoom, and it got quote hacked, but that just means someone found the URL online, and I don't know how someone has enough. There were like 2 or 3 people throwing stuff up on the screen, and it's like, I mean, I assume they were 13-year-olds, but it's just unfortunate. Yeah, just can't. This is why we can't have nice things.
I agree.
I guess like having maybe it's I guess me as the host. Someone okay, Bentley is back. All right, you were out for a second. I guess me as the host, I feel like I think we have to navigate the situation as it's happening, right? That's what BNB is all about, right? So I'm realizing that there is a responsibility. Me as the host, right, of like reacting in a certain way. For example, right now, okay. There was some noise in the background. Anyway,
I'm sitting my phone. Might be the way I'm sitting my phone, so I'm just balancing it because I'm using my phone, not my computer. You hear me?
Sorry.
I says it's because I'm using my phone, so there might be noise in the background because the way I just sat. The way I sat my phone. Okay. Know what I mean? So
can I mute you for a moment?
No, it's okay. I'll pick my phone up. It's okay. It's fine.
All right.
Let's talk about let's imagine we're at a patio. Okay, since we're talking about digital patios.
It's meta.
Yes, and something like that. What do you want to call it? Prank call? Let's call it a prank call.
Let's call it a prank call.
Something like that happens on a patio. I mean, would that be a flasher? It wouldn't really be a flasher.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah. If you actually seen that in public, what would you do? If I was with friends or my kid or something like that, somebody did that, I won't be very happy.
Yeah. So. I'm aware of a meta that's going on, which is that we are. I see a general process that has started happening with me in the last year, which is to start trusting the internet a little more through jumping from text conversation to calls, right? And that's kind of a process of rehumanizing the internet in a way, right? And because through text, I have a lot of failed interactions online.
Was it eminosity?
Credit, for example.
The word?
Sorry?
Is it eminosity is the word? You're visible through text messages and stuff like that. When people can see and you can speak to you, you're more vulnerable, aren't you? Know what I mean? Sort of.
The problem with text is that it's low dimensional. You don't see the human being behind the text. And
that's basically what I meant. You know what I mean?
it's hard to
Like
be as
2D,
skillful.
It's like 2D, and then you get 3D with people going live and people can see you and read the text. And then when you're doing StreamYard, it's like 4D because people are interacting and doing what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sort of. It is. I'm just smoking myself a roll up, mate.
What were
I
you
spend
saying?
most of my day. You sit with computers. I work. I'm a joiner. I do gaming and that, and I do IRL. You know what I mean? But I'm not
Mhm.
technology. Well, I can't really speak properly because I've been drinking. Technically savvy. You know what I mean?
Well, come
I
back when
mean,
you're sober, man. What are you doing?
Well, I've drank 2 beers. 3 beers I've drank. That's my second beer.
You can get us those beers.
Yeah, then.
Then-
We're in the
then
fifth dimension. Yeah, lad.
Otherwise, you're the only one with the beers.
Got to share.
You got to share.
I would share.
Otherwise, come back when
You
you're
know, that's
sober.
an that's
Oh,
that's
my
an
mate to
interesting.
share.
I,
Oh, my mate to share. Get a carrier pigeon. You know what I mean?
What were you going to say, Ben?
I would share it. You know what
I
I
was
mean?
just thinking though that maybe this is something that works in virtual reality pretty well because you can actually just now a lot of them they do have it to where you can do audio and it's based on your distance to the people, so you could literally just walk around in a shared space and
I love that idea.
do it.
Yeah, but see that with virtual reality, it's like what you just said to me then, pass me a beer. So no matter what you do with virtual reality and all that, you'll still never get that human interaction. Where somebody can go, here, mate, there's a beer. Unless you basically had like a robot that comes to your house and goes, here, you know what I mean? It would take hours, like people want to do drone deliveries and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Can you
Makes
start
sense.
working on that robot?
Can I start with what?
All
On a
right.
robot?
Yeah, we need
Can
someone
you-
on a robot. I was thinking
Well,
maybe you.
I'll explain one thing to you, right? The only
Uh-huh.
time I ever seen an interaction, where
Yeah.
somebody could interact with somebody, and it was years ago, was Ice Poseidon,
Okay.
and he had a robot.
Sorry
He
to
had a
interrupt.
robot that
What's your name?
fucked a bird. You know what I mean? That was it.
Sorry,
Pardon?
what's your name?
My name.
What's your name?
British B.
Manny.
My name's Brian.
Okay. Brian, sorry. Okay, Brian. I'm learning this as I go on, right? So, and
So
I'm
am I,
trying to
mate.
navigate
So
the
am I.
situation
So am I.
in the right way. And
Yes.
it's funny because I'm trying to do the right thing and I still don't know exactly what it is, right? Because so there is a sense here, which is that we were having a conversation, and
No.
when you joined, the atmosphere changed, and I still have to figure out whether I'm happy about it or not. Or like, let's say that there is a sense in which
Well,
I should
what
be
was it
happy
mean?
about it because I invited this, right? And there is a sense in which I feel like, wait, this is a bit beyond my comfort zone, and maybe in a sense that maybe this is not what I expected, and in a sense, maybe in that way, I've been naive. Or is it like, or is it more a matter of me failing to moderate this, you know, like, or like should I be more clear about my expectations? So
Yeah,
this
but
is, I'm trying to unpack the way I'm feeling right now. And so, for example, Stacy writes, I think it's perfectly acceptable to mute the participants and ask that they use raise hand function, right? I mean, now in this software, there is no raise hand function, but maybe there should be a kind of I'm wondering, right? Like, should there be an onboarding process, or should people be able to join spontaneously? I mean, especially the fact that this is being live streamed makes it more tricky, right? And
yes.
so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the situation as I go. I don't know. Bentley, like, what's your sense of the situation?
Well, my sense is basically you're the moderator. You shouldn't basically like.
Sorry,
No,
I was asking Bentley, but
oh, sorry,
yeah.
sorry, I'll be quiet. Sorry. Ben, he was speaking to you.
We are not hearing you.
Sorry, wasn't quick enough on the mute. yeah, I think that there's a lot of challenges with moderation in groups, and that's why it'd be interesting to start. If you have this patio thing, it really kind of needs to be a small group, I think, or it needs to be an existing community, because trying to build a community or be a tool for existing communities and be these little pods, because usually a patio, you are at least limited by the 100 people within your local area that could stop by. So having some sort of limiting factor, I think is kind of necessary. I mean, if you have the technology, you could certainly open it up to the whole internet, but having the ability to where you have to have the shared links to get in, I think would be a useful feature.
Raising hand.
Yeah.
Please, Michael.
Okay. It makes me think about the image board 4chan, and that there's all sorts of different sub-communities on that image board that are talking about relevant things, talking about technology, or I think there's one for like toy collectors or whatever. And there's a board called Random that is free for all. It can be anything. And because it can be anything, it collects all of the filth and the degeneracy and the hate.
I agree.
That you can imagine, right? I mean, that's one way of thinking about it, at least. So if we do have an open public patio, there does need to be specific, more selective sub patios, at least, because I expect that if the open patio became popular, even just slightly outside of the Game Bee community, that what would happen is a kind of a degeneration, which is fine.
I don't know what you mean by patios. Patios is something like when you go out. Is that basically what you mean when you go outside? And it's basically like when you go outside your house on your patio. Is that what you mean?
That is the topic of this conversation.
I've got you now. Don't forget I joined.
So I'm curious as to why you're here.
I come across this and I'm interested in news too, because I don't really know much technology. That's why I'm here. I don't really know much about technology.
Where can you go to start learning about technology?
Because I'm not really a
No. I'm asking where can he go?
Where can
this is the place. Right?
So I think, okay, I feel probably we've reached the point where I have to jump in. Just like a couple of times ago. I'm sorry, I forgot your name again.
Brian. Just call me Eli. My nickname's Eli.
Oh, Brian is fine. I hate to do this, but
that's okay, mate. It's okay.
I know you for a moment because you're not because of, I think, a lack of awareness of the situation. I think that's the problem, which is that kind of we were having a discussion, and I think you haven't gotten it yet. And I don't know, like I don't want to be mean or harsh, and I'm really not used to doing this. And it's just like there are some subtle ways in which you're communicating that make it difficult. And obviously there is the accent part, which makes it even more difficult, especially for me, given that I'm not a native English. And so
I agree.
So maybe I would ask you, please,
okay.
if you could just
totally
listen.
Understand.
All right.
I understand.
If you want to, maybe you can just listen for a while as we talk about our project. Is that okay?
It's okay. I've got to go jump in the shower. Thank you for bringing me in. But I wouldn't mind more in the future to come back in and listen to you a bit. You know what I mean? Because I'm interested. You know what I mean? It's an interesting topic. You know what I mean? And I sort of get it. You know what I mean? I'm curious. I'm just a working man. You know what I mean? I'm a brickie and a joiner, and I'm interested in technology. Makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it curious
I think
me.
I have to think about this.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. You know what I mean?
Hey, have a good night.
Thank you. Slangy bar.
Bye bye. I'll have to process this.
Yeah.
It's it's a good moment for presencing, like the feelings. I mean, there's a part of me that actually enjoys being at the edge of my comfort zone, like this. But I feel a bit responsible also for you, like I'm not sure I handled it well, in the sense that I wouldn't have like you to feel uncomfortable, which probably happened.
I'm fine, man. Bentley, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
He's a fucking
All right.
Things happen.
Okay, what's your sense of the right way to deal in a situation like that?
Bentley, go.
I mean, yeah. I first of all, I don't think there's really that much of a right or wrong. There's a huge swath where anything's acceptable. So it could be, if we were having a focused discussion, then it might be, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and this isn't so much a fun thing. So maybe while you're a couple beers in, although some people that doesn't affect them, then maybe we'll talk later. And then just boot people out. Or, if we didn't mind, just changing the topic to generally learning about tech and stuff like that. That's the span of options. So it really depends on what your goal is with the time. Since you kind of initiated this. And I think the goal was to talk through this topic. So yeah, there's a saying that even on a call-in show, all the call-in people, their only purpose on the show is to advance the opinions of the host. So that's why they're really quick to shut people off. They can say, thank you for your call, after they've already hung up on you. It's an old online radio trick. It sounds like you're being polite to everyone, but usually you never hear them say, okay, bye, because they already, well, thank you for your time on the call. Next. So yeah, if someone's not able to or willing to contribute to the conversation, then they're probably better for listening. But it depends on the mood that you want to have in the call.
I mean, what a great lesson, right? Hands-on lesson on the exact topic that we're talking about, not intellectual.
A very good point. Yeah. I think I still have to process it, right? And I think I will have to learn to be a bit more harsh. That's my feeling. Like again, that's my comfort zone, the limit of my comfort zone, right? And I don't find the words yet, because I have to. I'll have to sleep over it.
Yeah, you should probably take some time on that. But
I gotta go.
Thank you for having this adventure.
It's been fun. It's been informative. Please, either of you, Bentley, by the way, can I send you a request on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Good to reach out.
Either of you, I'll invite both of you to this group. These suite of groups, and I would love to run like a beta version or something, and be a pilot tester.
Cool.
Yeah.
If
there's anything that I can do that's real menial legwork, let me know.
Testing would be great.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that if you can help find some people that might be willing to pitch in just a little bit of cash, then that would help.
Yeah, if you go to that Patreon page, I'll share the shit out of it.
Okay. Well, we might give it a try.
Great, yeah.
Okay.
Right on, guys. All right.
It was nice to meet you, Michael.
Peace.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to actually spend some time exploring that. I mean, now it's late, but maybe tomorrow or another evening that I have time. I think I would anyway do that live. let's say if I still want to do it after I slept over it, but and maybe I will look a bit at the Zoom API, etc.
Yeah, and if you want, I could check and see my friend. So I put in the link in the private chat earlier. It's called Kiko Chat. He's been integrating with Zoom for a while, so he might be a good guy to talk to see how hard. Like we could throw the idea past him and see if he thinks it'd be like a huge development or a small one. And that's why I didn't even want to I just said, well, people can manually manage who's in the rooms because I don't know how hard that it would be to integrate it. I mean, if people were really interested and they were willing to chip in more money, then we could spend the time figuring it out. But, you know, I like to see some commitment before I focus some time.
Yeah, that's a very good point and probably a good boundary that I don't have.
I've had to develop it over years, and I still don't have it, right? Because I still, you know, I have a project to work on. I shouldn't even be here talking to you. So,
yeah, I know actually.
This is just getting my wheels turning. Like, oh, I want to do this, but yeah, we have limited time. Unfortunately, we're not in that unlimited space yet.
Yeah.
Still in game A.
I mean, time will always be scarce, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right, and that's why we do need to figure out how to deal with scarcity even as the future goes forward.
Yeah.
Well, it has been an hour, so I might go ahead and let you go.
Thank you for joining, and sorry for exposing you to this weird situation.
I knew when I was, you know, if you join a video chat that's live on YouTube, you gotta. I knew the risk I was taking. You're not responsible.
All right.
All right, man, and we'll keep in touch online.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. Thank you to the 3 people who are left here watching. It was a fun experience. And I hope I can learn something useful out of it. And let's see whether the digital patio comes to life or something else. I go to sleep for now. Bye, everyone.